You're listening to Data Center Therapy. Please take a number, and an engineer will be right with you. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Data Center Therapy, a podcast from IVOXY Consulting that talks all things IT with a healthy dose of empathy. I'm your host, Matt Yeti. In each episode, we dive into the wide range of technologies and topics that make up this beautiful sandbox that we all play in called IT. We share our hopes and dreams, opinions, both positive and critical alike, all with a touch of empathy, because at the end of the day, we all need a seat on that couch. Hey, we're past the holiday season, I know. It's not too late, though, to give us a gift. Data Center Therapy, 5-star reviews, addresses on the link in the blog, whatever. iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. Throw us a 5-star review. We will be very happy and appreciative. Thank you very much. Now, today we have a very special episode. We're going to turn back the clock nearly 14 years, back to the halcyon days of bare metal server farms, PowerPC processors, and when Docker was something you did to your laptop. And who better to join us on this trip down memory lane than our very own Alec Taylor. Alec, how are you?
I'm doing well, Mr. Yeti. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, it's really great to have you back on the show. It's been a minute.
It has been.
Yeah, we've managed to corner you in a room with no doors and windows, and managed to sneak a microphone underneath the door. So thank you for joining.
Yes, when you said the Docker thing, it also made me think, back in the day when Dockers were just a pair of khaki pants.
Oh,
You like that one too?
This is why we need you on more often, because I mean, I'm like that comic that goes up to stand up for his material, and I'm version 1.0, and you're out there like polishing off version 7.
Every time I say Docker, that is the first thing I think of. Is not Kubernetes, is not a container, but I think of khaki pants on sale for $19.99 at JCPenney.
They did a good job with the logo, because I do think of containers like a ship because of that whale. Yes, I do. But you blew my metaphor out of the water. It's way better. Way better.
I wonder when they were naming it if they thought about that, but maybe that's just us.
Well, the reason why we have you on here today is one of my favorite topics to talk about, and that is the IVOXY origin story. Mm-hmm. And we're the Joker. I'm not a comic book fan, but apparently origin stories are the hot thing right now. And I'm wondering if this is going to be a dark and gritty story.
Boy, having
or is this going to be more candy coated,
maybe
Michael Bay style?
Maybe not quite, as having seen the Joker not that long ago. Maybe not quite that gritty. Although if Joaquin Phoenix came in and told the story, it might be that much more engaging. But no, I think this is a fairly family-friendly, non-gritty, non-intimidating origin story. But
that said, I will lobby to have Joaquin Phoenix play Alec Taylor in the IVOXY movie eventually.
Who else would you get? I mean, Samuel L. Jackson or Joaquin Phoenix. Those really are your only two choices. Yeah. Well, hey, if we ever get an offer for the movie rights, we'll make sure to include you in the cut, Mr. Yeti.
I appreciate that. I will set the table by saying IVOXY now is 13 years old. We're going on our 14th year here. I've been with IVOXY coming up on my 7th year here. Well, it will be 7 years here in the middle of May already.
Wow.
So more than half of IVOXY's existence I've been here, so I can say that. But you, sir, have been here all of it and then some.
Yes.
So give me a ballpark. Paint the picture of where you were in your professional life before IVOXY was a glimmer in your eye, and as it was becoming one.
Sure. So just a little kind of career overview. I got into information technology in the early mid-90s, right before the internet was becoming a thing, and was very fortunate to get some good career advice to get out of being a bartender, which is what I did before getting into information technology. What so many of us in IT did before was nothing whatsoever related to technology. And I had a regular customer who I was asking questions of. His name was Dale. What he did for a living seemed to do pretty well for himself, and he told me he was an IT consultant. And I asked him, do you think I should leave the restaurant game and get into technology? And he said, absolutely. and told me about this thing called the internet. And fast forward we'll call it almost 27 years, and here I am. So his advice did prove to be absolutely fantastic. He got that one right. I worked for a few companies in the mid-90s, doing various technology things, getting my feet wet, getting some experience, and then I worked for a wireless telecommunications company that's now known as T-Mobile for many years in the technology space around wireless telephony technology and enterprise infrastructure. Got into management with that company, left that company in 2003 and went to work for a systems integrator that is no longer, they were acquired and have since gone out of business, helping customers, getting on the other side of the table and helping customers design infrastructure to run applications and leverage the power of the internet, etc. And round about 2000, almost mid-2006, my business partner, co-founder of IVOXY, Eric Watson, and I, who both worked at this same company, decided that we wanted to take the lessons that we had learned working for the systems integration company and do our own thing. We saw virtualization as becoming a huge wave of change in the data center. And the company that we worked for at the time made a lot of money selling traditional hardware. Did not see a lot of value in virtualization. Did not see that technology as being something that was going to change the face of the data center like we did. And we used the motivation that we got from being told, no, we're not getting in the virtualization space, to getting in the virtualization space ourselves. And round about late summer, we'll call it very end of June, beginning of July of 2006, Eric and I came up with a completely made-up company name. So we get a question a lot, what does IVOXY stand for? It stands for nothing whatsoever. We registered our domain name, we got our business license, and we set out on our journey that ultimately brings us to this moment today.
So outside of you and Eric, and that's two, what was the number when you went to market? Was it two?
Well, we had a cat. So at the time, Eric had a cat named George, who I don't think legally we could have made any kind of shareholder.
I think there are laws, yeah.
There's laws. Canada, a lot more liberal about that than the United States.
Yeah, we'll get there.
So George was instrumental in basically sitting on a chair and staring at us in a way that made us kind of feel like, this cat is not necessarily sure that we know what we're doing yet. So for George's sake, we got our act together. But yes, it was Eric and I and a cat. We joke about that, but it was literally a cat who's since passed away. So George, may you rest in peace. And we set out to establish a relationship with VMware to get into the space of consulting around VMware and also selling VMware-powered solutions. And they thought we were certainly nothing short of crazy in that we called up the main VMware number at their headquarters in Palo Alto.
And asked,
why not? Ask the receptionist, we want to be a VMware partner. What do we need to do? And several awkward phone calls later, as we got bounced around the VMware sales organization, we got in touch with the newly minted channel manager, Janae Serena, who's now Janae Serena Denmarsh, who was our channel manager at VMware for over a decade. And we told her that we were two guys and a cat, and we wanted to focus our energies on helping customers virtualize their data centers. And she was, I think, a little bit crazy and a little bit had some foresight and thought these guys are just nutty enough that they might make it happen, and sold us internally to the VMware organization that even though we're just two guys and a cat, we do know what we're doing, and there is a future partnering with us. So she put her reputation on the line to sign us up as a partner, and within less than a year, we were top 3 partner in our geo, selling VMware solutions, selling licensing and whatnot. And hopefully her bet proved out to be worthwhile.
Oh, it sounds like a victory for all parties on that. It's
Mm-hmm.
really
Yes.
a good leap of faith on her part. Yeah, it reminds me when I was a kid, and I mean a kid, like 7 years old, and my favorite game was Zelda: A Link to the Past for Super Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I loved computers too, and I was maybe older than 7, but I love computers, and so my answer was, I'm going to make this game for my computer. And in my mind, yeah, that's possible. Sure, I'm going to do it. So I called up Broderbund and
And
was
how
harping
old
on
were
them.
you?
I don't know, 10 maybe,
10?
something like that.
Nice.
And I can't imagine what, I'm sure a little joke went around the office, but yeah, this kid, he just matter of fact called me. How do I make this happen? Can you guys help me write this game for computer?
Well,
Different outcomes clearly between my story and yours.
but they got to appreciate the initiative. You have to
That's what I'm
appreciate,
thinking.
right?
That's what I'm thinking. If you're not bold, you're just another pile, another slice of paper on the pile. If you're not bold.
Well, I'm sure that there were probably some people there who heard, we got a 10-year-old on the phone that's got more gumption and motivation than some of the guys working in our development team. So, mad respect, Mr. Yeti. It's gutsy to
I'll
do
put that
something
on.
like that.
I'll update my resume. I should have when I applied to IVOXY, I should have been like, oh hey, did you know I really harassed Broderbund as a 10-year-old?
You know what? If nothing else, then that is certainly eye candy for a resume, and certainly some really terrific talking points.
Sure.
When they ask you, so Mr. Yeti, how did you get into technology? Well, there I was, 10 years old, with my parents' phone.
So, when I'm out there talking to customers and colleagues and friends, or I'm meeting somebody new and they ask me, what do you do, Matt? And I mention IVOXY Consulting. That consulting, it hangs out there because a lot of people say, well, that could mean a lot of things. Mm-hmm. And I also think maybe I'm wrong here. Is it an unusual name for, and I say the consulting piece, for technically a reseller? And whenever I tell somebody we're a value-added reseller, I say big V, big A, little R. I mean, not the other way around. But it does still sound like it's a unique distinction for reseller.
It is, for sure. The whole idea with IVOXY Consulting was to start with consulting services. The year was 2006, and the technology that was on the minds and tongues of everyone in IT was virtualization, really specifically VMware. And we realized that there's 1,000 places that a customer could go to transact a licensing deal. You can go on a company's website and go buy some quantity of licensing. Don't even have to talk to a human being, right? Why did the market need an IVOXY? Clearly, it wasn't because there was no, we were going to be the exclusive agent for VMware and we were going to be the only place that someone could get licensing. Definitely not the case. But customers needed more than a place to transact a licensing deal. They wanted to understand, how do I take my data center from what it looks like today, racks and racks and racks worth of gear, and how do I realize the promise of virtualization? How do I design it? How do the parts work? How do I deploy? How do I upgrade? How do I patch? How do I back up? How do I recover? How does this change my disaster recovery strategy? How does this make me more agile? What do I do with my old hardware? What's the best hardware to run the hypervisor on? Right? All of these things that folks needed to bridge the gap between what we're doing today, what we want to do tomorrow, all of the exciting things that virtualization brings to bear, we wanted to consult. So we had plenty of customers who maybe they had already purchased VMware. They had an established relationship with a partner that they transacted licensing business with. Certainly for very, very large customers, that would be true. Well, we had an opportunity to consult with them and help them on the design and the integration and the training, the educational space. So round about September of 2007, just over a year after we opened our doors, we taught our first VMware VI3 training class, and we've been teaching training classes ever since. have been tremendously popular. When a customer is making a significant investment, both financially and also with their time and their reputation, to do something like move a data center from the traditional model to the virtual model, they need a partner that they can trust, and there's a tremendous opportunity for learning, right? We folks in IT are curious by nature, and will never turn down an opportunity to learn something that sounds useful and interesting. And so we packed people in for years and years and years and years, and have packed people into training classes since the fall of 2007, helping customers understand everything from traditional VMware data center virtualization technology to storage technology, network technology, data protection technology. We have done training classes and workshops galore, and our training classes have changed as the market has changed. We still do our VMware training. Now we're getting into the container space. So shameless plug, we've got coming up in February, here in just a couple of weeks, our first Kubernetes and Docker training class, starting down in the Portland area, because folks are now taking virtualization to yet another layer, to another level, and deploying, consuming services on-prem and or in the cloud in the form of containers orchestrated with Kubernetes. And so that is another paradigm change happening in the data center. And before customers make a commitment to that, they need to understand how it works, how to best architect for it, the do's, the don'ts, the good, the bads, the uglies, and the gotchas. And so we continue that tradition of customer education and customer enablement that worked so well for us in the early days, and it continues to work very well for us today. And that's the differentiator. That's what took us from a nobody to somebody on a VMware executive's sales spreadsheet who wanted to know, and I quote, asking Janae, who in the blank is IVOXY Consulting? And why are they on my spreadsheet?
Well, and that consulting and best practice around VMware and a virtualized environment, there are so many components of that you have to answer with authority to be able to then turn around and deliver best practices for that VMware environment you're consulting on. So, I mean, we've organically grew into a storage partner, a networking partner, a security partner, a data availability and protection and backup recovery partner. So, I mean, that's why when you say IVOXY Consulting, you can kind of forget about we sell the solutions, but we design them as well. We're not just a product chucker, which is a source of pride when I describe what I do to my friends and family. It's been a great ride, and I'm so excited for the future with this company too, because, like you said, we're not content to sit on what worked yesterday. If that's the best solution, that's where we will arrive at the investigation. But we're also looking forward to that point. Can I put you on the spot, Alec? I know this is live to tape. This is live to tape, so I can always scrub.
Nothing less.
And let's see. The internet is forever, but I could pull the episode down if we end up being wrong. And you don't have to answer this. I will leave you the out. You don't have to give me a definitive answer. Do you feel like containers offer a similarly major paradigm shift? Is it as major of a shift for the industry? I know you know where I'm going with this.
Right.
As the physical to virtual shift was. Because I will tell you this before you even answer. At first blush, my answer is maybe, only because I'm trying not to take information. You can't unlearn something. You can't unring a bell. Right. But I'm trying to be as objective as possible. It feels like when you say, "Hey, Matt, remember those 30 servers in that rack? You can make those down to 2 physical servers and still run the same amount. And forget about your concerns. You can do that." And I think that's a big asterisk by forget about your concerns.
Yeah.
Is our containers the same thing to a virtual machine as that virtual machine was to physical, in terms of this changes everything and it will be the thing going forward? Or is it going to be more niche than that?
Yeah. So I would agree with you in sort of the maybe category, and that is there will be opportunities for customers to solve quite a bit of problems by containerizing all or some of their applications. For many customers, there may not be a compelling reason to move to containers. Now, a lot of this has to do with where the market goes from the standpoint of de- where software vendors, where ISVs go with regards to how they distribute software. So certainly the people that got most excited about containers to start were people in the development space who wanted a very rapid way to provision the infrastructure needed to run an application, and putting that application into a container simplified a lot of the development cycle, the rapid prototyping, troubleshooting, assembly, etc., by allowing the kind of the operating system components and the application to be tied together in its own little transportable bubble, taking a lot of the burden off of issues like compatibility and deployment complexity and things like that, since those little containers have all the parts in them needed to run independent really of what operating system is even running that container. And that's a really neat idea. So developers are clearly in love with the concept of containers, particularly anybody who is developing on the Linux platform. And then also service providers, right? People who offer things as a service. So much of Amazon, for example, runs on containers today for various reasons. One of them happens to be security. So shopping carts ephemerally created and destroyed because they're running in containers, really neat stuff. But what does that mean to an accounting firm with 70 employees and 30 servers? Sure. Kind of a very different use case. However, if the way that those, this theoretical accounting firm is consuming applications from their ISVs, that now containers are a choice, and those software vendors tell customers, the preferred method for us to distribute the software to you is via container. It's easier, it's better, it's faster, less issues, easier for us to support you running in a containerized environment, then the customer is going to follow that lead. So I don't know that that type of customer is going to seek out a container-based infrastructure unless there are technologies that they consume on-prem or in the cloud that really dictate that they do that with containers, and then those customers are going to get on board, right? We can take the complexity out of deployment. Upgrades will become much faster. Many ISVs, I would imagine, may move to a container-only distribution model and get out of the traditional, configure and install space. And that's what might change the face of the data center. I don't know that we've hit critical mass with something like that yet, but it is entirely possible that happened.
Well, I'm encouraged too, because from a transition standpoint, you're not throwing out a virtual environment by embracing containers. You can absolutely build the foundation. Pardon me, even on top of your virtual environment. I mean, VMware's Project Pacific is steamrolling right now, and I am really excited about that because it gives you that gorilla in the room that, hey, here's somebody who's throwing substantial weight and resources behind this as the future. And so you can trust that that's not going to be some, stick and paint and string and gum tied together solution. But at the same time, you can invest the time and the resources to make sure you're container ready, rather than have one of your application vendors drop, next version is going to be container only, and now you're scrambling. But that doesn't mean you have to leave behind it by any means, in any way, your quote unquote traditional virtual environment. I mean, that I don't think VMs are going anywhere.
No.
Maybe ever. But it's certainly not for the foreseeable future. But that's what I like about what VMware is doing, is it's embracing containers in its hypervisor environment. So the tools you know and love and are used to, I don't think it's going to be a big shift to get your feet wet with containers. And I think being ready for that paradigm before the pendulum shifts is in everybody's best interest.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm looking
right.
forward to your training class, actually. I might play hooky and sneak in to one of the sessions up here in Kirkland.
Well, we figured that you could barely contain yourself. So,
Of course.
right? Ba-dum.
That one, that is stand up. That's 1.0 right there. That's a 1.0 comment, Alec.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
So you mentioned you're starting in Portland. We're going to be in Kirkland and Spokane also.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm a listener right now and I am not signed up for these, but I want to,
Yes.
What am I doing? How am I getting in on this?
Well, you can always pop open your email client and send an email to training@ivoxy.com
Okay.
and tell us that you're interested, what is availability, and we can reply to you with information about the class schedule. Or you can go to ivoxy.com/training and get the details on the times and the dates and sign up right from the website. If you're feeling
Awesome.
particularly lonely, you can always call us, but I think most people prefer to reach out electronically. Very easy. In less than 5 minutes, we can have you signed up for a class. And the class sizes are small. We are not packing 25, 30 people in a class. We're going to be somewhere in the 12 to 14 student space. And that's something that we've done traditionally, is keep our classes to, a smaller size. So if people have questions, they need extra time, help working through labs, right? This is another one of our hands-on classes. So people will be building, managing, and getting their hands dirty with containers and Kubernetes. That it becomes very difficult for people to get that level of involvement and time and focus from the instructor when it looks like fourth period algebra. So we keep the class sizes small so that you get a lot of one-on-one attention.
Oh, that's outstanding. I mean, in my months and months of research and years now on containers and playing with them in my home lab, I've been pulled in so many different directions. Mm-hmm. That's not to say that your class or there is a single way to do it, but a single supported way, a way that kind of drives down the middle of the road in terms of supportability, where there's not critical mass, but certainly a mass building.
Right.
That's what I'm looking for. I'm work smarter, not harder, right? I am so terrified of the idea of sinking significant hours into something only to have that no longer be a relevant way of doing things. And obviously, the whole learning process is trial and error, and there are things that ultimately are deemed a waste of time. I suppose you could look at it and say nothing's a waste of time. Well, I mean, practically some things are a waste of time, and I'm just afraid of doing that. So I look forward to learning something that is going to be relevant, even if it's a building block in 6 months to a year, and that's why I'm excited about that class. Yeah,
we feel very strongly that containers are enough of a potential reality for our customer base that we're strongly advising, as always, let's get out in front of new technology trends so that we're not caught on our heels or caught flat-footed. So if someone in the organization comes to us and says, what is our ability to support a containerized application? We want to start developing using containers, or we have an application that we want to consume in the form of containers. Or are we staying modern, right? Are we keeping up with trends in the data center? It's great to be prepared, to know what you're getting into, to answer intelligently to that, and not have to react. Hey, we've got a month before some containerized application is showing up, and I need to figure out how this stuff works. How do I monitor it, manage it, project growth, secure it, protect it, recover it? All of those things are very different in the world of containers than they were in the world of physical systems and even virtual systems. And it really is worth the modest investment in our educational services to be able to intelligently answer those questions. So we strongly encouraging folks to be prepared, to be proactive instead of reacting.
Well, I think that puts a nice little bow on it, Alec. I mean, to go from the origin of our company to, I think, where the future is taking this company and where we're helping, embrace that future.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I want to thank you in front of God and everybody else for
Well,
putting
thank you,
your
Matt.
trust in me and bringing me on board for sure. I've enjoyed the ride so far and only have more excitement going forward. I just love talking about this stuff. I'm an ops guy at heart. I always will be, and I have to be, I think, to do my job well. I can't separate myself from the doing of it, and then be honest. And I don't feel honest when I'm talking to ops people about what they have to deal with day in and day out when I'm not feeling it myself. So I try to stay as close to the metal as possible. And at home, I've got an environment that whips me. I make sure it's challenging and forward thinking. And all of that said, I'll admit to maybe having a little bit of lack of excitement about IT at certain points over the last few years, only because I'm like, I remember virtualization. It was thrilling. And now it's kind of like, well, the cloud, yes, it's there, but it feels still a little immature in some ways. And everybody thinks it's the answer, but hold on here. And what am I really excited about? And now I'm feeling like I'm getting that fire now about the whole containerization and portability of things. And it's great to have a company like IVOXY to grow with and to enable that. And, I think everybody would be interested in exactly how it all came to be. So thanks for painting that picture a little bit for us.
Indeed, Matt, we appreciate it. That trust thing does go both ways. So certainly there's the IVOXY team trusting in Matt, but also Matt trusting in IVOXY. You've got to hitch your cart to a horse, and we're glad that you have hitched your cart to our horse, just as we're very appreciative and honored and humbled that customers would hitch their cart to IVOXY as well.
Absolutely.
So, we appreciate that, and for your time with the company and hosting our podcast, which has been a terrific idea, extremely successful, super fun to do, all kinds of really neat topics. So thank you for your willingness in making that investment in a lot of the social media things that we're doing as well. So we greatly appreciate it. That 10-year-old boy who wanted to work for Broderbund is still very much alive and well.
No, I wanted them to work for me.
Oh, well, of course, that's an even better way to go, but you got to start somewhere.
Absolutely. Alec, thanks again. Thank you again for joining us. That's always a great time with you, and appreciate your time for sure. Absolutely,
Matt. Thank you very much.
All right, folks, that puts a bow on. We hit the quarter century post here, our 25th episode, our IVOXY origin story. If you're bored with the Joker, definitely check us out. And if you haven't subscribed to the podcast already, Data Center Therapy, I don't know why you haven't if you're listening to it, but anyway, find that subscribe button, hit that, give us a review on iTunes, find us on Google Play, on Stitcher, we're on Spotify, we're on Overcast, anywhere where those top tier podcasts are found, you'll find us. If you want a topic you want to hear us rap about something, hear, bad jokes and good jokes if we have Alec on the episode, email us, podcast@ivoxy.com. We'll be happy to take any recommendations into consideration. Again, for Alec Taylor, I am Matt Yeti. Thank you again for listening to Data Center Therapy. Have a great day.